Okay, so welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Subaru 360 Central. I know a few of you guys from your comments are like, oh, another Subaru 360 video. I'm tired of these. Well, you shouldn't be. These cars are rare. So pay attention. You might learn something. We are working on this sedan, and if you notice, it now has new wheels and tires. These tires are what's in stock, what everybody has now. They're Camac, C-A-M-A-C. I think they're sold by Coker Tire, $120 a piece, something like that. It's ridiculous. It's a 10-inch tire that's a radial. I think it's a 145, yeah. But they only make them in batches, and when the batch runs out, they make new ones, but as the batch runs out, they raise the prices because there's not as much demand for 10-inch tires as there used to be. But anyhow, these look good. Full set of Camac tires, freshened up rims, the correct bent stem tubes because they're split rims, and it makes this car look really good. It used to have black wheels and rotted tires, so big improvement there. The other thing is I ripped out all the wiring that was aftermarket inside the car. Somebody had wired in a aftermarket fuel switch, and I put the heater ducts back in. You can see they're back underneath there. The way that works is you can turn on the fan, which is back under the seat there from a switch on the dash, and you can blow hot air from the heat exchanger up through this duct, and then through this little switch valve here, you can either duct the heat to go on your feet or the back of your heels, or up this little tube, which runs up this section of the A-pillar front of the car and to a little tiny defroster vent there that you probably saw during my video, right above the ashtray to defrost the windshield. It's not the greatest system, but it is something, and it does work. It works only off of the heat that is generated by the manifold. It is not exhaust. If you are smelling exhaust when you have the heater on, then you've got a problem. And I should also mention, I fixed this, the way you turn the whole system on is you pull this lever up right here, the one that says H for heat. That in turn runs a cable back there that allows hot air to come into the fan and into the system and create your heating system. It's very simple. It's pretty much inadequate by today's standards, but it's what they had. So I'm going to close this door. We're going to walk around the back of the car and show you what's going on back there before we start this thing up. This car has had a sordid life. I don't know. I don't get into people's personal thing, but this one was hacked up pretty good. So if you look, okay, so this is a 2-cylinder, 2-stroke engine with a little side draft carburetor on there, a little Hitachi side draft carburetor, and you can see the way this is routed. This is the fuel line, which goes into the fuel bowl. There's a fuel filter, and it goes up around here to the back where you can see this kind of a monkey rig business to the tank. It's a gravity feed system. Normally there's a adapter or a valve on here that's vacuum operated, and where this little red check valve, or where this red boot is, when the engine is started, vacuum is applied to that valve back there, and it lets the fuel flow. And when you turn the key off and the engine stops, it stops making vacuum and the valve shuts. Well, this guy had a problem with fuel overflowing all the time, and I think I know why. And that's, I pulled the float out. This is the original brass float, and it feels like it's 10 pounds. You might be able to hear the fuel sloshing. Let's see. Hear that? It's completely full of fuel. Has no leaks, but they just absorb fuel over time, probably through the soldered joint. Don't know. Somebody's monkeyed with it. Looks like maybe they've drilled it, filled it. I don't know. But we get rid of those, and we take one out of a Datsun. I don't know the part number off the top of my head, but it's like the Fairlady or some of the trucks. And this is a fiber-filled or neoprene plastic float. Can never, ever fill up full of fuel, and they work great. They've got a nice tab on here to pull them out, where somebody has ruined this one. It's really hard to get out because the float goes into this float bowl right here, which I've taken the screws off of. And if you flip it up and upside down, you'll see there's a needle and seat there. Let's take the gasket away. And the needle and seat is numbered. Let's find the number. Where's the number on there? I saw it a minute ago. The 1.2. You got the 1.2. You get a 1.2, a 1.5, or a 2.0. This is a 1.2, which is the smallest. And it works fine. The 2.0 I think is for the van and the truck. You want the smaller one if you decide to put an electric fuel pump in the system. So there's some tips and tricks for you. This car would have never run with this float. It would have just kept overflowing and being rich and fouling plugs and a bunch of other stuff. The other problem I found with this car just right off the bat was, you can see I marked the timing when I get ready to start it up there, is cap and rotor. The rotor is actually missing. See that part right there that's sticking up? It's supposed to go all the way across half the rotor, and it touches the, it's supposed to connect with the button in the center, and it's not doing that. So between the carburetor overflowing and the ignition system not having any source to tap into the coil, I don't know how this thing ran, but the guy said it did. Who knows? It's also missing the air filter. This is empty. These are really hard to find, the air filter elements, but I believe we're remanufacturing them now as a club. A lot of other little janky things that I've got to figure out. I'm going to try to get the vacuum valve on here or a different control for the fuel so the carburetor doesn't overflow overnight. What happens is if you have 5 gallons of fuel in the tank, which is beneath the rear window here, you can see the gas door, just the head pressure, the weight of that fuel, 7 pounds per gallon. You've got 5 gallons in there. The weight of that will work past the needle and seat. It'll overflow the carburetor. It'll overflow into the air filter and or, who knows, drip onto something, your garage floor or the starter, which has hot electrical connections right beneath the carburetor. Something will be bad, and we don't want that. So we do have a new throttle cable. You can see I've got to trim that off, and of course whoever worked on the car before me snipped the choke cable just an inch short, so I've got to figure out how to make a new one of those. We're working on this thing. We're getting it there. It's going to be a running and driving car soon. I just wanted to get it running and driving. Might not be today. I got to get on the next one, which is this one. So thoughts and prayers for me that I can get this thing going. I'm sure I can, but that's always helpful. And we'll catch you next time on the next video. And don't despair, guys out there that don't like Subaru 360's. These are really cool little cars, and you're probably going to see some more videos. I'm sorry about that, but everybody needs a little technical expertise in their life, and you're getting it for free right here on this channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Take care.